Hey guys, it's Marta. Today I wanted to make an episode about the easiest plants you can grow, the plants for beginners, the plants that will not make any problems in your garden, the ones you should start with. Today we'll talk about the easiest perennials to grow. Let's go. I chose a few plants for today's episode, and I was thinking about plants that will be easy to grow, that will not have problems with pests, and that will be disease resistant, and they will be very easy to grow. You will plant them, you won't do much work with them, and they will make you happy as long as they bloom, and when they don't bloom they will also look nice in the border. Of course, with perennials you will get perennials that are beautiful in spring or in summer, and some of them will shine during the fall or autumn, depending on where you live and how you call this season. So I chose a few plants, and some of them will be in semi-shade and some will be in the sunny position. I really hope you will join me in the comments and you will write us which perennials in your opinion are the best, because my choices are my choices. These are the ones I love, and I think that do all of those things I just said, but I'm really hoping you will join in the comments. The first plant I wanted to talk about is Aster. You can see them behind me. Now they thrive. They thrive in the autumn and they have so many blooms. You can choose them in many colors. This one is the one I got as a tiny plant from my neighbor, and it's been growing in this spot for 10 years now. And I've never had any problems. No pests, no diseases. It just grows like crazy and blooms like crazy. But I found one thing you can do, because usually the only maintenance I did, I was just removing the old stems in spring. That was all I've been doing. But this year I decided to try Chelsea chop. So I did this type of pruning at the end of May, and I pruned half of the length of the stems, and they are much more dense and they have like twice the amount of flowers they had the previous year. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. Let's get closer to the plant. Can you imagine that you get such a tiny plant and a few years later, without you doing anything special, it grows into such a big clump. It spreads by itself. I've never done anything to it, and it looks beautiful in the October garden. What kind of soil does it like? Like average garden soil will be perfect. Slightly acidic, slightly alkaline is fine. I just give the multi-purpose fertilizer in the spring. I give it a nice blanket of compost in the spring, and that is all that I'm doing, except for the Chelsea chop, which I've done this year, but I'm really happy with the results. Okay, let's go to plant number 2. Okay, plant number 2 is Catmint. Catmint is one of my favorite perennials. This is a perennial that blooms in purple, blue flowers. All of the pollinators love it. And I think when you plant plants like that, you will get all of the pollinators come to your garden. And when the pollinators come, the birds come. And then you get this beautiful biodiversity and your garden starts living, and I just absolutely love it. All of the plants that have purple flowers will always do that to your garden. I've seen that when I planted my first catmints. These were the first perennials that appeared in my garden, and I really love them. They are very easy to grow. They are very forgiving to the space you give them. They will grow best in the sun, and normal garden soil is fine. I've never seen any pests eating them, and I've never had any problems with any diseases. So definitely a plant for beginners. Maintenance with catmint is very easy. You just cut them off in the spring. You can also do that in autumn. Then I usually perform Chelsea chop on them, so at the end of May. And then when they stop blooming, which happens in June, this is the best moment for them to bloom, I cut them off, shear them down, and they bloom for me again. The second blooming isn't as spectacular as the first one, but you also get a lot of color. Now we have mounds of green, a bit of color from single flowers, but I think you get so much color during the season and no problems, which I absolutely love about them. Plant number 3 is Huchera. I always have a problem with saying that. It's called in Polish żurawka, so it's a totally different name. I think this is the hardest one to kill. This is a perfect plant for any conditions that you have. I would say the really dark shade, that is a dry shade, will be the most difficult one to grow them, but it's also the most difficult place to grow anything. But if you want to grow them in pots, in the borders, in the sun, in the semi-shade, you will get incredible results. No pests, no diseases that I found on them ever. And even if I told you the story when one of the builders that worked in our garden dig some of them out, left them for the winter just on a pile, and they lived through that and they are still thriving. If you're like me and you really like those colors, so I really like those deep purples and those incredible lime colors of the Hucheras, they will be, their leaves will be so much better when you grow them in the sun or in really light shade. Then the colors are more significant, they are more deep, and I love that about them. I don't like the Hucheras that are, you know, they're called creme brulee or something. For me, their colors are like the falling leaves, so I'm not a fan of those. My favorite ones are the lime marmalade or black taffeta that is almost black, and this one is called, I think, amethyst. So these are my favorite colors because they are so robust. Okay, let's go to plant number 4. Next we have a plant that has beautiful leaves. This is a plant I started with in my garden. This is a plant Hosta that is perfect for semi-shade. When you have wet soil, this will be perfect for those. They don't like when they are in very deep shade and it is a dry shade. They will grow, but they will not grow as robust as they can in a better space. I think they sometimes even perform well in sunny position, but only some of the varieties. These get around 4 to 5 hours of sunlight, and sometimes when the sun is very scorching, they can their leaves can show that. But this is a plant that you plant in your garden if you give it a good space, so this wet semi-shade will be perfect. You only cut the leaves in the autumn or in the spring, whatever you choose, and then they grow. If they get a lot of rich humus soil, a lot of compost, they will be very, very robust with lots of leaves. If you choose the variety that is, for example, I love those limey leaves, lime colors, I love them the most of all, like, or the light green ones like guacamole, salmon substance. These are the ones that I really like. If you pair them, for example, with ferns, you will get enchanted garden. It looks beautiful. Then give some lime leaves, it will look beautiful, and these are very, very easy. Some people say that snails and slugs love their hostas, but I've never had this experience. Maybe sometimes some little slug will bite something from my leaves, I don't mind. But maybe it's because I have so many blooming plants in my garden, so a lot of petals drop on the ground. So the snails and the slugs love that. They love the debris from the falling petals, and they don't go for my hostas. So for me, this is one of the easiest plants to grow. You can also grow them in the pots, and I overwinter my pots in the middle of the garden. I don't cover them at all, and they come back every year. With hostas, there are so many varieties, so everyone will choose something they love. I love the lime ones, but of course you might like the striped ones, or the white ones are difficult to grow, I would say. But the darker leaved ones or the with white veining, they are very easy to grow. And whatever you like, I think you will find a variety that will suit you. What do you think will be plant number 5? Let's go and check this out. Perennial number 5 will be Brunnera. For those of you who are watching my channel, you know how much I love this perennial. It thrives in semi-shade. It can be on the drier side, but not too dry. But I have some near my birch trees and they are doing pretty fine. What you don't want is to position them in scorching sun because the leaves will get burnt. The leaves can be green or stripy, speckled with a bit of white or silver. I love those more, like Jack Frost or Silver Heart or Sea Heart. These are my favorite varieties, and not only they have very beautiful leaves that you can see during the, from I think maybe sometimes even April, then later and until the frost come. But at the end of May and in June, for 3 to 4 weeks, you will get beautiful blue flowers that look like forget-me-nots. So I really love that about them, because I can see those flowers with my tulips and with my alliums, and I really love that in this part of the border. I love my Brunneras with my hydrangeas Annabelle, and I always wonder if I like this combination or the Hakonekloa grass with the hydrangeas. But I also have this Brunnera in another border, and it's paired with Geranium Rozanne, which I think is my favorite perennial of them all. Let's go and see that one. I remember the first time I read about this incredible geranium. It was called Rozanne. And I read about it on English, in English Garden and in magazines, on RHS website. And finally, I got my hands on this perennial. This is a perennial that when I planted it, I just sheared down all the old stems after the winter, and then I let it grow. It starts blooming in June, and it blooms until the frost comes. So usually in our country, that is the end of October or November. So for me, this is the most versatile perennial I can have. It meanders through other plants, and it blooms with these beautiful purple flowers, and it blooms all the time. You don't have to deadhead it, you don't have to do anything, and it just blooms. And it somehow makes other plants look better. This is what I love about it. It looks beautiful with my Brunnera, it looks beautiful between my roses. I really like it. From my experience, it grows best in semi-shade, light shade, not in the scorching sun. I think when you have it in the sun, it will of course grow, but sometimes you can get scorched leaves, that is all, but it will still be blooming. But if I ever wanted to tell you, try one plant and grow it in your garden, go for Rozanne. Not all geraniums are the same. This is a very specific one. It got RHS awards, and I know why, because this is a plant I absolutely love, and I know it will stay with me in all of my gardens until the end of my time. But what for the sunny position, the dry position? Which perennial will be the best? Let's go. This is a space that is very sunny, very, very dry. You have a lot of birch trees, but still you get a lot of sun because of the position. And this is Sedum. Sedum is a plant that I would urge you to grow if you have a dry space, very sunny, very poor soil. This will be a plant that will thrive, and it's very easy to grow. You also shear it down like all the perennials in the spring, and then you let it grow. You can just let it be and bloom in the autumn, but you can also use Chelsea chop that we use at the end of May. I've tried this pruning technique this year. I've shown you in a video, you can see that. And I tried this on a few of my Matrona sedums, and they are much more compact, they have more flowers, and they are not flopping over, which I do not like. If I can get a perennial that I do not need to stake, I really like that. I've never had problems with pests, I've never had problem with diseases, but I get some messages from my subscribers that write to me that sometimes they get fungal diseases, especially the more fancy varieties. So this is the only thing I would worry. All of the pollinators love the sedums because you don't get that many flowers in the fall garden, the typical garden. My garden is pretty full with blooms still, but in the typical garden you don't have that many flowers that bloom at this time of the year. So sedums are beautiful plants to plant for the fall interest and for those difficult, sunny and very dry places. Okay guys, these are all my examples of easy to grow plants for beginners. I really hope you will comment in the comment section below and let us know what would be your recommendations. What are the plants that do not give you troubles? They don't suffer from pests, they don't suffer from diseases, they grow incredibly well. And let us know which are your types. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one on Saturday. Bye!